Me, the fight was a draw, or I had Fury just edging the fight. 116, 112, I don't see. But 3 judges scored it that way. There were so many close rounds. I couldn't split them at the end, but I thought Fury might have just done enough.
What do you think they'll do next now?
There's only one thing to do. Fight AJ. It's the only fight for Tyson Fury. It's the only fight for it. Let's just get it made. Wembley Stadium, one at Wembley, one in Riyadh. Let's get it done.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live boxing ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live. I seen it coming a mile away. Your boy Ego is that good. I predicted this, I seen it, and now it's here. Let me explain Ego Thoughts. Ego Thoughts, man. I'm just going back to the basics. I don't care what other people are talking about. It's what I want to talk about on my channel, and let's get it. So Tyson Fury, he just lost a second time in the same year to OLEKSANDR Usyk. You went your whole career undefeated, even beat the likes of Klitschko. You beat Wilder twice, and you can't seem to get past this guy, OLEKSANDR Usyk, a former cruiserweight who's much smaller than you, that you call a middleweight and a rabbit. This guy just has your number. He's better than you. You had a second time. There are no excuses. I know the Fury fans are mad. The British teeth, oh, mate, you're slagging at Usyk. He really lost that one, mate. I get it. You guys are angry because your boy lost. But there's no excuses because people try to make excuses for Tyson Fury each time out. When he gets dropped by Ngannou and looks poor and looks flabby and sick, people say, oh, he didn't take Ngannou seriously. Okay. Then he fought an Olympian who had beaten Joshua and every British fighter like Daniel Dubois, Joshua twice, and also Derek Chisora, knocked out Tony Bellew, crazy, right? So that was your next fight, coming from the Ngannou fight. And if you didn't take Ngannou serious, based on his pedigree and him being a former undisputed and destroying every British fighter he's fought in dramatic fashion, mostly, where he was sizzling them and getting these sneaky shots off, you would have to take him serious. But then he gets rocked out in the 9th round, and it looked like you could have stopped the fight for real. Usyk goes on to beat him, and people still made excuses. They said, oh, he underestimated Usyk and he wasn't ready, and you know, 1 round doesn't change it, blah, blah, blah. So Fury always has an excuse for when he doesn't perform up to par. That goes without saying. And then now in the latest, Usyk beat you even wider. Pause, that sounds crazy. But he beat you even more convincingly with wider scorecards. And now the excuse is, I was robbed in both fights and I won by at least 3 rounds and yada, yada, yada. Whatever. But let's get to it. Let's get to the heart of this video. You heard the clip at the beginning. Eddie Hearn is pitching for Fury versus Anthony Joshua. And let your boy, the best in the business, and it's not even close, tell y'all that Joshua fight and Fury is officially stale. Who cares, right? It has entered the territory of Amir Khan versus Kell Brook. So basically, realistically, me chocolate right hand brownie, you know, me fight with Triple G. It's that level of fight now. And boxing, it just won't get out of its way. It won't get out of its own way, where you have all these colossal and great fights that could and should happen, like Wilder versus Joshua. If they fight now, based on where they're at in their career, who cares? We wanted to see Joshua Wilder when it was at his fever pitch, and both guys had titles, and they were both undefeated, and they were threatening punchers, and we didn't know like their flaws. We didn't know all their flaws and never seen them, you know, beaten in combat. So the fight was what it is. But now it's like you could do a Riyadh season and put Joshua AJ. People will watch it out of curiosity because somebody will probably get knocked out. But make no mistake about it, it will not be the fight that it could have been when Wilder was, oh my God, from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, to this day, the WBC champion, and Anthony Joshua was unified, and he hadn't lost to Ruiz and Usyk and knocked out by Dubois. Completely changes it. Like I said, if Joshua were to fight Wilder now, Wilder's coming off what? 2 back-to-back losses, Joseph Parker, and also knocked out by Zhang. Before that, he had 1 round with Helenius, and then he has 2 Fury losses. So 2 Fury losses, 1 round victory, and then you got Parker loss, and then you have Zhang loss. So that's like 4 losses in a small space of time. And then you look at Joshua, he just got brutally knocked out by Dubois and kind of fought funky. And he got dropped and hurt in the first round. It was horrible. You know what I mean? So that's with Wilder or Joshua. But the same goes with Tyson Fury. The fight could have been an amazing fight. And I remember old media, they were lying to you. They said the fight was done years ago, and this was when Fury had just beaten Wilder, so he was the WBC champ. Joshua still had his titles, and they said the undisputed fight is done for the desert, Saudi Arabia. They were even putting out articles saying that it was a 2-fight deal, saying that it was for undisputed, saying that Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua were going to fight, and they were even telling you what their purses were going to be. And then we find out that that was cap, which is what I told you at that time. They didn't have a fight. There was no actual official fight. And to this day, we haven't seen them fight. And then now, if Riyadh season tries to do the fight, it's like, who cares, bro? Tyson Fury got dropped and looked sus versus Ngannou. And then he loses to the guy he calls a middleweight twice and gets rocked in the first fight extremely bad. Who wants to see the Joshua fight outside of Great Britain, the British teeth? I'm telling you, this is where boxing gets it wrong, because the politics get in the way, fear for some of the fighters get in the way. They don't make the matches when they need to be made. And then what boxing tries to do is they try to give you the match many years after, when it's no longer even desired anymore. So much has changed. I liken it to, let's say you're in high school, you're a senior, and there's this girl named Adrian. Adrian is bad. Everybody in the school wants her. She got the pretty eyes, the light skin, the hair, wavy hair, all that, right? You want to date her. You ask her for a date. She's not trying to give you the time of date as a senior in high school, right? Fast forward to the future, you guys graduate. Adrian, 6 years later, she has all types of different relationships, bounces in and out of relationships, has 2 or 3 kids, you know, the body don't look as tight, you know, life happens. You know, she's in between jobs. She's just not the same looker that she was in high school. And then you run into her at the grocery store. Now she want to give you some rhythm. Now, Adrian, she wants to give you the time of day. Like, oh, you're successful. Like me, I'm Boxer Ego. So I'm a YouTuber now, you know, which wasn't the case, obviously, in high school for me. So now that I'm Boxer Ego and things are cool, you run into the person and then she's like, oh, you should take me out. She sees you're doing well. You know, I got no kids, like, keep myself up, blah, blah, blah. And now she want to kick it. Now she want me to take her on a date. Nah, I got way better options now. It's over. You dig? You know what I mean? And that's how it is with boxing. It's like the girl that was the homecoming queen, the prom queen, the flyest and baddest in high school ain't necessarily the person years after. Like you get out of, you guys will see, some of you guys are young, so you haven't been out of high school long enough, but wait till you start getting to the 10, 15 year mark where you've been out of high school for a minute. You'll start seeing some of the people who weren't really known for their looks. They start looking bad as hell, and you're like, oh man, who is that? Like, oh, okay, she kept herself up, got in the gym, blah blah blah, got in the makeup, you know, do. And then some of the chicks that was the baddest that everybody was clamoring for in high school, they partied too much, got bags in their eyes, sampled with drugs or whatever, didn't upkeep themselves, and it's not the same. And that's what boxing gives you. We wanted Wilder Joshua when we wanted it. We wanted a fight between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua when we wanted it. Now they're trying to give it to you, but the fight is like, it's like someone trying to feed you, but you already got some food somewhere else. Like, I wanted a slice of pizza when I asked for it. You didn't give it to me, so I was forced to my own devices, and I figured it out. I've already ate, so I'm good. You know, there's so many upcoming fights and upcoming fighters that I'm checking for. This ain't 5 years ago, 6 years ago when I wanted to see Joshua Fury, right? I want to see David Benavidez and David Morrell now. Tank Davis is a star. I want to watch his next fight. You know what I mean? So it's sad that boxing continues to do this, but you know, it's the reality of the sport that I'm in. And now, like I said, I see the play. They're trying to pitch for the fight because they know that one false move and these people are finished. So it's like, let's do one fight for a payoff and try to get the last little bit of milk out the cow. I don't know about y'all, but I have very low interest for Joshua Fury. Like, for what? What is that? Like, what does it mean? Two muff that got, between the two of them, 4 losses to Usyk, a guy who's way smaller than them. Usyk is the best of his generation, clearly. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua at this point, what does it really prove? Like, what does it prove to anything? Again, it's like the battle of the leftovers. These are guys that Usyk soundly beat twice. So between the two of them, they got 4 losses to the same guy who, again, is undersized. He says he has to eat a whole bunch of food in order to fill out. And he says he might drop back down to cruiserweight because it's challenging. He don't want to eat that much food and protein every single day to stay at this heavyweight mark. So he might go back down to cruiserweight, which really is a testament to how savage Usyk is. If you're not even a full-fledged heavyweight for real, like Tyson Fury looked huge, bro. When they showed Tyson Fury in the ring next to Usyk, he looked huge. So that makes the Joshua fight even worse. Is like, you're 6'9", you were pushing 300 pounds, you're way bigger, longer reach, younger, you had big fight experience, you have boxing skill, and you can't even knock Usyk down. There was not a moment in either fight where he knocked Usyk down. So you can't beat this guy, bro. You cannot beat him. You haven't been successful in 24 rounds. And then now we're going to run to the Joshua fight and act like that's a good thing. Joshua is directly off of a loss to Daniel Dubois that he never avenged. How come younger Joshua, he loses to Ruiz, he pushes the immediate rematch clause, he wants the rematch, and he gets his titles back. Younger Joshua, he loses to Usyk, and then he wants another go at it. Joshua, he is not trying to fight Daniel Dubois again. He ducked him, bro. He ducked him. Now, all of a sudden, the man who took up all the rematches, win, lose, or draw, he get knocked out by Daniel Dubois, and then he wants no parts of a rematch, and he had a rematch clause in there. So had he pushed the trigger, Joshua could have rematched Dubois, but instead he let Dubois move on to Joseph Parker, and he's probably secretly hoping that Parker beats Dubois for the title because he beat Joseph Parker in the past, so that'll kind of make him look better, like a guy that you have a win over defeating the guy that just knocked you out, you know? So for me, I am not a fan of Fury versus AJ. So much time has elapsed and expired. Things have changed. It'll also be for no belt. It'll be for no belt. So it's like, it doesn't have the same high stakes that it once could have. It could have at one point been for undisputed. So tell me why I need to see this, you know? And again, they're trying to push for it because this is how the UK does. That's why I call it rematch room, right? They want to put up matches like this, and the UK doesn't care because they all like band together and sing Kumbaya and Sweet Caroline. But in America, that fight ain't gonna do nothing. It's gonna come on at 2 p.m. my time, and it's a guy coming off a loss and another guy coming off a loss, no belt, and a fight that should have happened years ago. And these people in boxing are so fake. It is disgusting. The inconsistencies, like for example, when Floyd Mayweather fought against Manny Pacquiao, because the outcome wasn't what they wanted, which is Pacquiao winning against a black fighter, Floyd Mayweather, people tried to bash the fight, say it was years too late. We all know for a fact that had Pacquiao knocked Floyd Mayweather out and been the first to defeat Floyd by knockout or to defeat him in general, nobody would be complaining and saying that the fight took too long to happen and it was past its expiration date. Nobody would say that. It was still a great fight. Pacquiao showed later, after losing to Floyd, he was still capable. He beat Keith Thurman as a champion, who was a champion at the time. So it was still a great fight, but because the racist fans and the race fans didn't get the outcome they wanted, they tried to bash the fight. Now it's funny, those same usual suspects, the resistance, old media, and the racists are going to prop up a Fury versus Joshua fight when Fury's coming off 2 losses and Joshua's coming off a knockout loss, and they won't admit what I'm saying in this video is true and say that the fight is past the expiration date with Joshua and Fury because Eddie Hearn and Riyadh Season in Turkey would probably be the ones pushing it. You see how fake that is? Because at best, let's say you thought Floyd and Pacquiao was past its expiration date. Floyd was still undefeated, so you can't really say nothing about him. Before the Pacquiao fight, he was beating Maidana, and Canelo, and before that, Guerrero. So you can't say nothing. He was still undefeated. He was still the man. Pacquiao did get knocked out by Marquez, but then he had some comeback wins like Algieri and Rios and blah, blah, blah. So he was still Pacquiao. He's still a Hall of Famer, blah, blah, blah. And then they fought in 2015 versus Joshua and Fury. Both of these is coming off of losses, one being a stoppage loss. Fury, if we're really being real, is coming off of 3 bad performances in a row. The Ngannou fight and the USYK fights. Now, you know, you could argue, at least I will say this in fairness to Fury. Fury's fights with Usyk, you just lost to the better man and you were trying. So Fury doesn't take as much of the blame here because his performances weren't as embarrassing. I mean, the only embarrassing aspect is that the guy is much smaller and you can't do nothing with him. But it was still like, you know, he was still landing some shots, especially in the first fight. But Joshua, he's coming off a knockout loss. Like I said, I don't want to see it. Let me know what you guys think.